Good morning, everyone. Happy that you can all join us today. I'm Vicki Kang, Manager of Energy at Technical Safety BC, and I'm joining you this morning from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, and in particular, the Coquitlam First Nation, on whose territory the Tri-Cities stand. And I want to extend my appreciation for the opportunity to live here with my family on the shared territory. We'd like to invite Ms. Carleen Thomas, Knowledge Keeper of the Tsleil-Waututh Nation, to join us for a traditional welcome.
Thank you, Vicki. Osiem Nitsiaya, I Tanishqualawan, Quitsi Quitsnala Ihui, Anta and Sachalot, Anta Mana Sinthalia Etsiat Maxla Hotsiem, Anta Emith Queth on Sachalot, Quetzla Hotsiem, Equeth Halat, Equeth Squastemosto. Hai Tsepka, Meet Sep Whitwheelam, Eat Hamathquium, Eat Squamish, Eat Slowatuth Tumath. So what I said to you in the very teeny tiny bit of my language I know called Downriver Hulkamelam or Hulkameetnam, I said to you, my respected ones, the feelings I have inside are really good to see you and be with you here today, even virtually. And I introduced myself to you with my ancestral name, as is our Coast Salish way. So I carry the name Ansachalot. And in our protocol, we also mention a little bit about our family tree. And we do that for a number of reasons. But the most important is that it informs you, the audience, that I know who I am. I know where I come from. And as a grandmother, I deeply understand the Shahalmas, the sacred obligation I have to carry on our sharing our knowledge and our teachings. So my parents are Ernie and Deanna George. My father is the current hereditary leader of our people, the Tsleil-Waututh people. Tsleil-Waututh in our language means people of the inlet. My mother is Deanna George. My grandparents are the late hereditary chief John L. George, and my grandmother is the late Lillian or Dolly George, as she was known to her friends. And most recently, like I've been doing this for decades, and for a real long time, I never really acknowledged my maternal grandparents. And I guess since I became a grandmother, it really started weighing heavy on me. And I think I've been able to incorporate that now because the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh people have begun healing the divide that was forced upon us by this colonial system. We had to start saying, you know, this is our land, this is our waters, and these are my people, not your people. And anyway, so my maternal grandparents are the late Stan Joseph from the Squamish Nation and the late Caroline or Budsy Thomas, as she was known by her friends, and she's Sinemoch and Niska. And then I raised my hands and said, Hi, Tsepka, thanking all of you. Meet Sepwitwilam, and I'm welcoming you to the homelands and waters of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. I'd just like to thank the organizers for reaching out to us to provide this for you, even in a virtual way. This is the first time I've done this online like this, and really excited to be a part of this and hopefully start your day in a good way. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Carleen, for that very warm welcome. And it is nice to have you, even if it is virtually, with us today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this year, Core Connections 2020 is taking place amidst unprecedented times. As an essential service, Technical Safety BC has remained committed to assuring the safety of our clients, stakeholders, and employees during the spread of COVID-19. But this has also provided us an opportunity to connect on a different level. For Technical Safety BC, moving Core Connections online has allowed true province-wide participation, which we're very excited about. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today from every corner of this province. I'd like to remind everyone who's engaging with us on social media today to please use hashtag Core Connections 2020, as you can see on the screen there. We'll be recording today's event and we'll be sharing portions of our social channels, so please join the conversation and share with those in your network who cannot make it today. We have a jam-packed 1 hour this morning, so let's begin. We're pleased to present State of Safety 2019. This report is a great safety resource as it provides a snapshot of technical safety in the province, along with the organization's achievements and impacts throughout 2019. It's available on our website. It's a fully digital report and provides a variety of interactive charts that invite readers to explore the data, as well as link to the stories that showcase the work that we've done over the last year to improve safety in the province. Our first presenters this morning, the Technical Safety BC's board chair, Mr. George Abbott, and President and CEO, Ms. Catherine Room, will speak to the state of safety, as well as Technical Safety BC's other accomplishments throughout the year. Many of you may recognize George as he was first elected as MLA for the Shuswap in 1996. He served as minister of a number of major ministries over the years and was also deputy House leader for the official opposition before his retirement. Please join me in welcoming Mr. George Abbott.
Hearing me well? Am I coming through well? Vicki, great. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It is a great pleasure for me to welcome you to Core Connections 2020, our annual public meeting for Technical Safety BC. I'm joining you today from Saanich on the traditional and unceded territories of the Songhees and Lekwungen people, as well as other Coast Salish peoples. Special thank you to Carleen Thomas from the Tsleil-Waututh Nation for her inspiring welcome. Thank you, Carleen. As others have noted, BC, Canada, the world has seen unprecedented challenges in the past few months in the form of COVID-19. It's a novel coronavirus, and it has presented novel challenges to government, to business, to all of the people of British Columbia and indeed of the world. And as a consequence, for the first time ever, we have an annual public meeting that is a virtual gathering. Obviously, we've been looking very much forward to a face-to-face meeting in Squamish. Regrettably, that's not possible given COVID-19. However, we are delighted, we're honored that so many are joining us from around BC on Zoom today. Like so many others, Technical Safety BC has experienced the stresses and strains arising from COVID-19. I'm very proud to be a part of the board of Technical Safety BC, and I'm proud to note that the board has worked very closely and collaboratively with Catherine, with the executive, with the broader leadership team, and of course, all of the dedicated employees at Technical Safety BC to weather these very, very tough times. There has been a few changes to our board since we last met at our last APM. And on behalf of my fellow board directors, I'd like to thank outgoing directors Brenda Eaton, Jordy Henderson, Ian Banks, and Doug Scott, whose terms ended in 2019. All made terrific contributions to safety and good governance as members of our board. I'd also like to welcome some incoming members. Ivan Limpright, Judy Kavanaugh, Angela Wesley, Ken Turand, and Jeremy Coughlin are our newest board directors. And of course, we want to welcome back Neil Cumming for a second term. We look forward to their strategic insight to help continue our ongoing commitment to Technical BC's mandate. Technical Safety BC continues to be well served by some veteran board members, Karen Basilewski, Jeremy Black, Nancy Olweiler, David Guscott, and Gail Stevens, all of whom I must say have already contributed greatly to Technical Safety BC's board discussions. I'd be remiss not to acknowledge that Technical Safety BC has a bold vision for the future, and I think most of you are familiar with it. Safe technical systems everywhere. And that vision stands despite the challenges of COVID-19. I want to say a special thank you to our very hardworking CEO and President, Catherine Room, who continues to play a critical leadership role in guiding and its partners across the province through these very trying times with courage and grace. Your ongoing dedication to the organization's vision and your commitment to putting your employees first is inspiring to us all. Throughout the past year, and especially during these trying times, I have observed Technical Safety BC's continual pursuit of building a safer British Columbia by identifying and addressing hazards and providing the tools and knowledge to reduce incidents and injuries by making safety-minded decisions. With advances in digital technology in the built environment, the introduction and adoption of digital tools are growing rapidly. Technical Safety BC has responded to this transformation by embracing new technologies, introducing new digital systems, and improving access to data. In closing, I'd like to instill words of confidence and hope as we continue to navigate COVID-19 and plan for our recovery as an industry. We know the road to recovery will be a long one, but as you will hear today, there are opportunities for Technical Safety BC to continue to grow and develop as a strong organization. And we'll continue to work hard to help our industries thrive in the years to come and ensure the safety of critical infrastructure and of all British Columbians. We know we'll all emerge from this COVID-19 as an even stronger province, and thank you very much for your contribution to that. Now I'd like to welcome Catherine Room, our CEO and President, for her comments. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Well, good morning. I'm fortunate to be speaking with you from my home, which is located within the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coast Salish people, the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the Squamish First Nations. I thank the nations, and I'm grateful to Carleen Thomas from the Tsleil-Waututh Nation for her warm welcome and her support of our gathering here today as we talk about safe technical systems everywhere. I'd much rather be meeting with you in person. However, I'm grateful that we can do this virtually. One of the principles at Technical Safety BC is that we model the integration of technology and humanity. And this is one aspect of that, from scaling up from an in-person meeting to meeting with several hundred people across many territories and communities in British Columbia. So whether you're in your home or your place of business or in your parked vehicle, welcome. The purpose of an annual public meeting is to do a year in review. And during today's agenda, we will look back at 2019 and share how our organization is furthering our mandate to support the safety system and our vision of safe technical systems everywhere. Our hard work of the past year, and indeed into this year, comes with immense gratitude. Thank you to all employees at Technical Safety BC. Your hard work and your commitment to our mandate, you have been delivering safety in so many ways, and that's because of our many guests who are here today. You are supporting their ongoing health in every aspect. Personal health by you working from home. Economic health by continuing to deliver service remotely. And importantly, mental health and confidence in the safety system by listening to and supporting our clients very directly as they carry the immense weight of delivering needed and essential infrastructure. Now, my remarks are obviously very different than they would have been just a few short months ago. And given the significant impacts caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, we've had to shift what we do to help you, our clients, the public, and our stakeholders, and ensure we are there to help recover. And over the months ahead, to thrive again, as I'm so optimistic we will. At Technical Safety BC, it is the foundation that we set in 2019 and in years previous, the embracing of innovation and creativity, and thinking differently that has allowed us to respond as we have. So first, 2019. A prominent theme of our 10-year strategy, released in March of last year, as I've said, that we model the integration of technology and humanity. And to further this goal, we focused on 3 critical areas. Firstly, we invested in what we call our life cycle oversight program. We see technical equipment as having a beginning, a middle, and an end. And this is an initiative that recognizes that safety risks can be reduced if technical systems are managed through their entire life cycle, from design and installation to ongoing maintenance and repair, and finally to decommissioning and disposal. And with life cycle management, we saw higher awareness amongst the public and contractor community about the importance of reporting incidents. And as a result, there were 600 incidents reported to Technical Safety BC in 2019. And this is a good thing because data is everything. Secondly, we got even better at assessing safety hazards and in measuring our effectiveness, along with a relentless drive to improve how we deliver services, and particularly through digital means, as any technical company would. In 2019, we processed and assessed more than 236,000 permits, a 5% increase over the year before. We used innovative technologies like artificial intelligence, or AI, to improve our ability to identify cases of high hazard. And we used advanced modeling techniques to predict and to measure the level of oversight in the electrical market. We're using machine learning models in gas, electrical, boilers, pressure vessels, and refrigeration, and elevating devices, resulting in us finding high hazards at a rate 117% more accurately at the end of 2019 than in the same period the year before. We also made significant investments in expanding our client portal, along with improvements to our website at technicalsafetybc.ca. We seek to model the assessment of risk and management using the most advanced tools that we can find, and something we do for our clients as well as in the same way for our employees. Now, from an oversight perspective, our compliance and enforcement activities in 2019 led to 545 enforcement activities. This is important to level the playing field because the vast majority of the contractor community is both responsive and deeply concerned about the quality of the work that they do, and they do want to see a level playing field. All the data that we have is used for our safety decision making, and you can read more about our performance in our recently published 2019 State of Safety Report, now available on our website, as Vicki mentioned. So this time next year, we will be saying that hindsight is 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown us what it's like to live in a global crisis without a modern-day parallel. There is no aspect of our day-to-day lives that has not been impacted by this crisis. And our commitment to the safety of British Columbians is unwavering. At Technical Safety BC, our team has truly leaned into our value that we adapt. We have worked to maintain our strong industry partnerships. We've bolstered productivity through remote safety assessments, and we've created a fully distributed contact center, as well as maintaining essential in-person physical assessments. By doing so, we will continue to fulfill our public mandate of ensuring the safety of critical infrastructure and of all British Columbians, while at the same time protecting and putting our employees first. This is guided by the publication of our revised 2019 business plan, now available on our website, which will chart our course for the remainder of 2020, or remainder into 2021. In conclusion, we have seen firsthand how focusing on humanity while leaning on technology has enabled us, like all British Columbians, to accelerate our exploration and adoption of new ways of doing things. My sincere personal wish is that we come through this time with a singular focus of what is important, the health and safety of our communities and of those that we love. Thank you. And back to you, Vicki.
Thanks, Catherine. Thank you, George. So it's really nice to hear of all the support that we're getting from the leadership team on how we adapt to all these changing conditions and situations we find ourselves in. At this point, I'd like to have you all join me in welcoming Wesley MA. He's our Director of Finance and Procurement for our 2019 financial update.
Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Wesley MA, Director of Finance and Procurement. So I'm here to provide you a summary of our 2019 financial performance. For 2019, our total revenue were 70.7 million, which is 8% or 5.1 million increase over 2018. The growth in the construction industry, particularly in the non-residential sector, led to an increase in our installation and operating permits. And our permit volume was further supported by the internal initiative to increase the participation in the safety system, including building relationship with our duty holders, identify unpermitted work, and also compliance and enforcement activities. Our investment income also grew, and that is as a result of a strong market performance in 2019. So on the expense side, our total operating expense was 68.8 million. It grew by 1% or close to 1 million compared to 2018. So we continued to invest in the technical program in order to promote innovative and scalable safety solution while providing the consistency across all the technologies. Also, like Catherine mentioned, we increased our innovation, IT, and business intelligence capabilities in order to support the development of our client-centric service delivery model. And on the capital side, the focus of our capital spending shift from the facility improvement in 2018 toward the investment into our IT system in 2019. So overall, the expense was on budget and the revenue was higher than expected. So as a result of that, we incurred a surplus of $1.9 million. So if we carve out the investment gain from that, we did reach the break even in 2019. And I guess because of this surplus, our operating reserve increased from 5.9 million to 7.4 million. And it represents 10% of our 2020 operating expense budget. So we're better prepared for the uncertainties such as this pandemic. So that is high-level summary of our 2019 financial result. And you can definitely find more detail from our new report that will be published on the website after this event. And as you know, the COVID-19 pandemic is having a significant impact to our business after year-end. And it's an impact that continues to evolve. And at this stage, the full breadth and scope of the impact remain unknown. But one thing we know is our financial resilience is very important, it's absolutely necessary. So in the past couple of weeks, we did revise our 2020 expense budget and create a liquidity management strategy to make sure our organization remains financially strong and stable. So let me share a quick update on how are we doing today. So the BC shutdown began after March 16th, and we did see a moderate drop in many revenue types, especially in installation, exams, and inspection due to the social distancing measure. But since the construction sector hasn't been fully shut down, our volume and revenue dropped only around 15% in past 2 months. And that is far away from the 30% criteria set in the federal wage subsidy program. So we know we're doing better than lots of other companies from the revenue perspective. And on our investment side, so far we only lost 1.5% of our investment value compared to 20 to 30% value reduction in the major index. We're doing pretty good. That is due to our very conservative investment strategy. And therefore, the total revenue, including both service revenue and investment income, is only about 1 million behind budget so far. And on the expense side, we have pulled lots of lever in past 2 months, including delay hiring, freeze almost all the discretionary spending, and the postpone capital project. So because of all those efforts, we are currently about 1 million below budget on spending. So the negative 1 million variance in revenue get net off by the positive 1 million variance in expense, and that make us stand right on budget right now. So that is a pretty amazing result under the current situation. Therefore, I'm actually pretty happy about our financial resiliency and very optimistic about our financial future. So that concludes my financial update, and back to you, Vicki.
Thank you, Wesley. It's nice to hear that we're in good shape there. So this brings us to our question period, and I'd like to thank everyone who had submitted questions in advance. We've collated the questions, and we'll be responding to the top common questions as we just have a few minutes. We'll be responding to any questions that we can't get to now via email. So the first question I have here is for Catherine. Can you share with us how Technical Safety BC has been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic and how it is supporting its clients?
Thank you, Vicki. Like everybody who's on the call, the middle of March, we had been watching what was going to happen, and all of a sudden we had to make these major decisions, and within 48 hours, 100% of our employees were working from home, and we were focusing on what are we doing to support our clients. And the very first priorities, of course, were how do we continue to do assessment activity, which I can say right now is at about 95% remote, and we'll be transitioning back to physical assessment shortly with an option to do remotes when it makes sense for health and safety. Our contact center took a very short period of weeks to become fully distributed, and I hope you can picture that every one of our amazing client care representatives in their own homes with their laptops and their headsets supporting our clients every day. And you know, with the help of our board and the full organization, we've been able to really pull up what it means in a very short period of time to continue that confidence in the safety system. So yeah, thank you for the question.
Great, wonderful. So the next question that I have here is actually for George. In your update, you mentioned there were quite a few board members that are new. How are you making sure that Technical Safety BC's stakeholders are properly represented at the board level?
Great, thank you for the question, Vicki. It's an excellent question. I think I have been involved in every board selection process for about the last 6 years, so I think I can offer a little bit of insight on what we attempt to do in those processes and some of the consistent elements that emerge in them. One of the most important things that we do in advance of ever interviewing potential candidates and so on is take a very close look at the board's skills and experience matrix and ask what we're needing, what we're looking for in terms of a new board member. It might be construction, it might be data analytics, it might be this or that, and of course it varies as people enter and leave the board. The other thing that is invariably true of selection processes, and I can say that firsthand, is it's always difficult to choose. People come with amazing combinations of skills, experience, approaches, and so on, and it makes for a very difficult selection often, and because we're choosing between great candidates for the board, and that's a wonderful thing. to me, one of the really important things is that we get the best decisions at the board level from a diversity of skills and opinions, and then ensuring that those respectful opinions are heard at the board level. And it's just been a wonderful privilege to be a part of a board for 6 years and to chair it for a few years. We do have an excellent board. Right now, just to conclude on this point, we do have representation from the building industry, from construction, from safety operations, engineering, education, data science, government, economics, public service, Indigenous leadership, labor, and of course each of those people who, broadly speaking, represent that area are bringing a variety of skills to the table. Thank you.
Thank you, George. I can understand that it is quite a challenge to select from a large pool of talented individuals. The next question we have is for Catherine, and it's related to the certifications here. When will people be able to take certification exams again, and will it be in person or online?
So it's going to be both, and it's really imminent, and I will give you the time frames. I just want to say the patience of our clients has been extraordinary, and we're very grateful to you. Like many educational and credentialing organizations across the province, whether it's New Caledonia or BCIT or one of the universities, everyone has been working through how do you make sure that your clients are in a safe environment for doing examinations, and how do the people who offer those exams how are they also safe? We're going to be conducting a pilot on June the 9th with remote software to do examinations for gas fitters. And so that's going to roll out. And then based on the success of that, we will then move to the other certifications. For in-person exams, which power engineers still, from a national perspective, they're not ready to move to an online platform. We're looking at doing in-person exams by mid-July, and that will be in locations all the way across the province. So I do appreciate people's patience and significant thoughtfulness as we deliver this new service in a new way.
Great. I know that there are a lot of field safety representatives who might be having this question, and they're wondering if they can't take their challenge exam in time before the renewal date, what happens then, and what will the challenge exam be offered online?
I know that we're encouraging certified individuals to take online continuing ed courses, the ones that are currently available, to meet their education requirements. And that's the best way to make sure that you have the hours that you need to renew. And while we've delayed the exams because of COVID-19, we are working to make sure that the challenge exam will be available to people before you have to renew in 2021. Yeah, the challenge exam will be offered online.
Good, that's good to hear. I know that we're tight on time, so I'm just going to ask this last one here, and it's related to assessments, as we're doing that in a different way now. When it comes to assessments, can you highlight how the company will be supporting businesses to restart safely and efficiently? And I do know that we do have a presentation coming up afterwards, but I'll hand it over to you for a couple comments.
So we have right now been conducting almost 95% of our assessment work remotely, and I know people are interested to know and understand how we measure its thoroughness and effectiveness, and we are doing that through data means and through the quantitative feedback we get back from safety officers. We have reserved physical assessments for very critical hazards and for incident investigation. But by mid-June, we will start to move towards a wider application of physical assessments. And Lisa Picot-Lee is going to be talking about what we've done around remote and virtual assessments, which is really an amazing opportunity for us to scale into all parts of British Columbia that are often difficult for us to get to and yet need timely feedback.
Great, thank you. So that brings us to the end of our question and answer period, and we've heard a little bit so far about our performance last year and some of the things that we're working on this year and the years ahead. So I think it's perfect time here to introduce some of our team leaders and have them speak about their individual programs. So as promised, please join me in welcoming Lisa Peacock-Lee, our Director of Operations, who's going to be speaking to us about remote assessments.
Thank you, Vicki. So my name is Lisa Peacock-Lee, and I'm the Director of Operations. I'm joining you from my home today, which is located on the traditional and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations. It's been about 3 months since our world has drastically changed, and we have all adapted the way we work and live our lives. For many of us, it's meant working in a different way or doing work that we're not familiar with, like speaking to an audience we can't see. It's changed the way we conduct inspections by using a combination of remote and physical assessments. The change towards remote assessments took place quickly, and I'll admit, probably imperfectly in some ways. But we're all doing the best we can in the circumstances that we're in. Remote assessments aren't the same as physical inspections. They do, however, enable all of us to continue working in a time when safety is more critical than ever. So with that, I want to share with you 3 things that I've shared with safety officers about remote assessments. 1, why we moved to remote assessments. 2, what they are exactly. And 3, how remote assessments are conducted, including how we confirm that they're effective. So if I can ask for my slide to come up, that would be great. So the first question is why we moved to remote assessments, and we've heard some of that today. In March, there was a diminishing supply of personal protective equipment, and estimates and projections suggested that we would have enough for about 4 to 6 weeks. We also learned that many supplies were back ordered, and there was a shortage everywhere. At the same time, we learned that essential healthcare workers were in need of basic supplies. And so the conclusion we made, we needed to use the supplies we had sparingly, particularly as we didn't know how long the restrictions would go on for. At the same time that PPE supplies were being depleted, we needed to account for varied risk tolerances. We all have or know someone who has a vulnerable family member, and safety officers have broad exposure to high-risk spaces where physical distancing isn't always possible. And safety officers are passionate about their work, and we needed to make a decision that didn't put their safety or the safety of their families at odds with the safety of the province. The steady rise of biohazards that were being identified at inspection sites also contributed to the move to remote assessments. And finally, we answered the call to flatten the curve. All of us were asked to help slow the spread, and physical assessments, despite putting safety measures in place, still required some level of ongoing contact. So we did our part to contribute to provincial efforts by reducing physical assessments to only those categories that are critical to the safety system. And in doing so, we attempted to mitigate the impacts with remote assessments. So this brings us to the second question. What are remote assessments? And remote assessments are exactly what they sound like. Something that's remote is distant or far away. In the case of assessments, it's the inspection that's taking place away from the thing that needs to be inspected. We've always done some form of remote assessments like phone calls, emails, and photos. The difference now is that we're relying on remote tools more frequently, like we're doing for this meeting, instead of getting together in person. To minimize physical contact, safety officers are doing as much as they can remotely through the use of phone calls, emails, photos, live video conferencing, and in some cases, virtual inspections. Which brings me to my last point, how remote assessments are conducted. So we've changed the way we work, but not our commitment to safety. Physical assessments are still being conducted, and they won't be going away. And we will be resuming physical assessments on a broader level shortly. But remote assessments aren't going away either. The new normal is going to need them, as the way we work and live has in many ways permanently shifted. What this means is that safety officers will be requesting more information when they conduct an assessment. they'll be asking for more documents and photos or to conduct a live video conference. We're working to make these processes as simple as possible so that we can support businesses and the province's restart plan to come back from COVID-19 stronger than before. So to summarize, the way we conduct assessments has changed. Our commitment to safety and also to simplicity is as strong as it has ever been. We're going to continue to deliver services to support safe technical systems, including the safe and efficient restart of businesses across the province. And the good news is that things are working, even if it's working in a different way than what we're used to. We're looking closely at our inspection numbers, at the number of high hazards, at non-compliances, and we will keep looking at these and ensure that we're doing what we need to promote safety, but also to reduce any barriers for businesses as part of the restart. So with that, I'll turn the mic back to our host, Vicki.
Thanks, Lisa. It's always interesting to hear how remote assessments are going. It's definitely a very interesting, growing area and a big change for the organization. So as some of you may know, there's a new elevating device code in BC, and so I'd like you to join me in welcoming Nav Shahal, Manager of Transportation, at this moment to speak about it.
Thank you, Vicki, and good morning, everyone. Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm joining you from a home which lies on the shared, unceded territory of the Katsi, Semiahmoo, and Kwantlen Nation. And today I will be, as Vicki mentioned, I'll be talking about the new elevating devices code that was recently adopted in the province. So we moved on to the 2016 edition of the CSA B44 code that was adopted into the elevating devices safety regulation on April 30th. This happened all while we were in the midst of our COVID response, but it still went ahead with all the changes that were needed. The new code includes requirements that aim to improve the safety of elevating devices in the province. It has a few major changes that affect how an elevating device is maintained throughout its life cycle. And it involves the testing of it and the maintenance. So they were major changes, so we needed to think of a longer timeline. So we had about 18 months for the contractors, the asset owners, and all of our other stakeholders to evolve. So the biggest change there were about 300 plus changes in the code. But for today, I think we'll just focus on two major ones. One is the introduction of what is called a maintenance control program. So traditionally, elevators were maintained on a monthly basis, and it was a very prescribed maintenance requirement. With the introduction of maintenance control programs, what it does is it make sure that the elevator or any elevating device is maintained as per its requirements, as per its usage, as per its age. So it is almost like having a customized maintenance program for each device, they're taking into consideration all of the factors. So that is great for making sure that the level of service provided to each device is unique to its requirements. And the other thing that a major change that came into effect is what is called as a 5-year testing requirement for elevating systems. So there are safety critical devices on each elevating device. And in the past, they were only checked on when the new device was put into service or when it went through major alteration. Now, with the introduction of the 2016 code, these will be required to be tested on a 5-year basis. And learnings from other jurisdictions who have adopted these requirements of 5-year testing, they have found serious lapses in the safety devices that we all rely on to be working. So next slide, please. So the main thing that we need to make sure is for asset owners is to make sure they have maintenance is performed by their licensed contractors. And the maintenance contractor should look at the scope of the elevating devices. All of this information is available on our website, as you can see on the screen. And we also have, next slide, please. COVID-19 challenge, like all of the speakers before me have mentioned how COVID has changed everything. And related to elevating devices, it was no different. It challenged everyone in the world, and our stakeholders were no different. So we had to respond with certain requirements for elevating devices. You can find all of these things on our website at the address there. And if you have any questions related to not being able to meet the regulatory requirements, please contact us on the information shown on your screen, and we will be able to get back to you. That brings me to the end of my presentation here, and I would hand the mic back to Vicky. Thank you.
Thanks, Nav. It's great to hear what's going on in the elevating world. So that brings us to the end of our presentations. And if you do have any questions regarding the presentations, or if you'd like more information, please email us at coreconnections@technicalsafetybc.ca. And I'd like to give a big thank you to today's presenters and everyone who participated in our discussion from across the province. We hope that we have instilled confidence that our industry is on the road to recovery. And as our chair expressed, during these trying times, we must trust each other as we meet the safety challenges of a highly connected, changing world. And that brings us to the end of our program. With safety being a shared responsibility, it is important that we stay connected. So please feel free to connect with us with a few different ways. There's signing up for our email alerts, newsletters, information bulletins, and safety directives. You can also register for our online learning center, or follow us on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. So thank you everyone again for taking your time to join us today, and I hope you enjoy the remainder of your week. Have a good one, everyone.